Recall the iron and potter's clay, the brass and miry clay of Daniel 2 and Daniel 7. The little horn of Daniel 7, its political connection to Rome, and the little horn of Daniel 8, its religious connection to Greece. Recall the visions of Daniel 2 and Daniel 7. The political, nations and their rise and fall, and the visions of Daniel 8 through 12, the Day of Atonement. Imagery: 2 clean sacrificial animals, a slain sacrificed animal, horns of the altar of sacrifice, altar of incense, the sanctuary, the high priest, and the Most High, God Himself. The religious. But we miss something. That is only part of the truth. It is deeper, bigger than that. Daniel 2 and 7 are very different in comparison to Daniel 8 through 12. In Daniel 2, we have many metals united in one statue, and in Daniel 7, many animals not in conflict, while in Daniel 8 through 12, 2 animals in violent conflict, in a life and death struggle. The ram is actually killed by the he-goat, thrown down to the ground and stamped upon. In Daniel 2, we have iron mixed with miry clay, and in Daniel 7, a little horn with eyes of a man and a mouth speaking great things against the Most High, while in Daniel 8 through 12, 2 distinct groups, the ram's host and stars, or starry host, in violent conflict in a life and death struggle with the he-goat's little horn, a little horn having no eyes or mouth. In fact, the stars are destroyed by the little horn, thrown down to the ground and stamped upon. Finally, in Daniel 2, we have a stone cut out of a mountain without hands, and in Daniel 7, a judgment scene. The judgment was set and the books were opened, while in Daniel 8 through 12, I don't know, nothing. Why? What does it mean? Daniel 2 and 7 present a world and church that are asleep, blind, lost in deception, in Babylon, the present condition of the world, while Daniel 8 through 12 present a world and church awake to reality, eyes wide open, no longer deceived, aware that they are living in the judgment. How? How do we know this? Notice the following things about the 2 views, Daniel 2 and 7 versus Daniel 8 through 12. First, Daniel 2 and 7's statue and beasts versus Daniel 8 through 12's ram and he-goat. Recall Daniel 2 and 7. We rightly concluded before that Daniel 2 and 7 give the political, nations and their rise and fall. However, this political view of the world, a view held by the majority of, if not all 7 billion of us on this planet, in which the world consists of many nations and sides, in seeming conflict with one another, in seeming chaos, a view that breeds nationalistic and patriotic sentiment even among Christians, is a deception. As you will recall, Daniel 2's metals are in fact united in one statue, and Daniel 7's beasts are not in conflict with one another, as if they are actually all on the same side. Now recall Daniel 8 through 12. We rightly concluded before that Daniel 8 through 12 give the religious. However, what we did not see was how far-reaching this view was. In Daniel 8 through 12, the curtain is pulled aside, revealing the hidden world of the supernatural, unmasking the political deception previously mentioned. given us a religious view of the world, the true view of the world, the great controversy between Christ and Satan, the truth that there are only two sides, all the rest is deception. Returning back to Daniel 2 and 7 versus Daniel 8 through 12. So Daniel 2 and 7's many nations, sides, in seeming conflict, when in reality there is no conflict because they are all on the same side. They are one, all part of Satan's kingdom, Babylon, versus Daniel 8 through 12's two sides in violent conflict, a life and death struggle, the great controversy between Christ and Satan. Next, Daniel 2 and 7's feet of iron mixed with miry clay, and little horn with eyes of a man and a mouth speaking against the Most High, versus Daniel 8 through 12's stars and little horn, having no eyes or mouth. Daniel 2 and 7's true church shown indistinct from the false, united with the false, versus Daniel 8 through 12's true church shown distinct from the false, in fact in violent conflict with the false. Next, Daniel 2 and 7's stone cut out of a mountain and the judgment versus Daniel 8 through 12's I don't know, nothing. Daniel 2 and 7's a picture of the judgment is given versus Daniel 8 through 12's no picture of the judgment given. But the entire sequence of Daniel 8 through 12 is the judgment. Recall Daniel 8 through 12 draws its imagery from the Day of Atonement. Why? Why the difference? Why Daniel 2 and 7's a picture of the judgment given? The judgment is not a reality. Though there might be knowledge of the judgment, even knowledge that we are living in it, it is only head knowledge, a picture external to self, which has not touched the heart. It has not touched the life and changed it. Why Daniel 8 through 12's no picture of the judgment given? The entire sequence, Daniel 8 through 12, is the judgment. The judgment is a present reality. The truth of the reality of a present ongoing judgment is not only known, but each day is lived in the knowledge of it. This is why there is no picture of the judgment given, for that knowledge is not external to self, but has become internalized, impacting every aspect of the life. So indeed, Daniel 2 and 7 do present a world and church that are asleep, blind, lost in deception, in Babylon, the condition of the present world. Many nations, sides in seeming conflict, but in reality one, a church that is a happy union of the true and the false, and a judgment that is at best a topic for sermons or Bible lessons, and at worst a complete unknown, or completely misunderstood, having not the slightest impact on everyday life, while Daniel 8 through 12 present a world and church awake to reality, eyes wide open, no longer deceived, aware that they are living in the judgment. Two and only two sides in violent conflict, the great controversy between Christ and Satan. Separate true and false churches in violent conflict with one another, and a judgment that is not just a theological concept, but a present reality, a daily walk in heavenly courts. Note, it is still possible to turn from the light even after receiving it, as the majority will do. But how? What could possibly move the present world out of its asleep, blind, and deceived Babylonian state, to one in which it were wide awake, eyes wide open, and undeceived? It is only when the world is awake and undeceived that God can justly bring this world to an end. We have seen the answer previously. Prophecy. Prophecy is only capable of bringing about the fall of this Babylonian world, this broken, sinful, fallen world ruled by Satan, because it has first been able to bring about the fall of Babylon's strongholds in the minds of all mankind by banishing confusion and deception. So how will the world be brought from a Babylonian state, a state of deception and confusion, to an enlightened state of knowing the truth? Simply put, prophecy. Returning back to Daniel 2 and 7 versus Daniel 8 through 12. So in Daniel 8 through 12, we stand as if in the judgment. All deception is swept away. The true self and one's true master is revealed, be it ram or he-goat. Yesterday you were asleep. Today you are awake. Your choices are before you. What will it be? Ram or he-goat? If ram, then shout, "Awake! Your brothers and sisters sleep. Babylon is fallen. Come out of her, my people." And our little horn of Daniel 8 doesn't have eyes and a mouth in chapter 8 because when the curtain is pulled back, then the deception is gone, and so is God's true church, the potter's clay, and the eyes of a man and a mouth speaking for the Most High, leaving behind the bronze which had once made it miry, useless clay, and a mouth speaking against the Most High. Goodbye, old dried up and dead world. Hello, heavenly Canaan, land of the redeemed. May your eyes be opened to the truth. And God said, "Let there be light."